And I almost forgot, surprise! Any cargo or utility e-bike needs to be tested with some cargo, right? Yeah. We are going to use the torque sensor until maybe we need the cadence sensor. We'll see. I can see I'm getting more motor power, but it doesn't feel like it. What do you get when a fat tire e-bike and a utility e-bike mesh? Well, apparently the Velotric GoMad, their take on a modern utility e-bike. We have some seriously impressive specs, at least on paper. A motor that peaks at 1300 watts, a 500-pound total payload capacity, and accessories matter on a utility e-bike, and Velotric is launching with a bunch. And why do I have an extra kickstand? In this review, I'll walk you through all the components, including how we have decided to outfit our GoMad. Then we'll take it for a ride and see how the bike performs. And finally, I'll wrap things up with the pros and cons and what are some of the unique features of the GoMad compared to other utility e-bikes. But first, let's take a closer look. Before we talk about specs, let's talk about Velotric as a brand. They have been on an absolute tear recently, modernizing pretty much the entire lineup. We had the launch of the Velotric Discover 3, their mid-drive, the Discover M, their lightweight model, the Tempo, as well as the Summit 2, and now we have the GoMad. And all of these models have a lot of features that are rare to see generally, but definitely at this price point, as you'll see. Another unique thing about Velotric is their 1,200 plus dealership network, so buy in store or online. Now, clearly we have our GoMad kitted out, but what you get for $19.99 is the base model. And if you're planning to buy a Velotric e-bike, you can support the channel for free. Check out our discount code and our link down in the description. Using that link or scanning the QR code on your screen now is a free way to help us out. Thank you so much for your support. Let's break down the GoMad. It's offered in 3 different colors: Sage, Dark Amber, and what you see here, Obsidian. And while yes, it looks black when the light hits it just right, it sparkles, which is pretty cool. They've taken a one-size-fits-most approach, fitting riders all the way down to 5 feet tall, up to 6'3". I'm 6 feet tall with a 32-inch inseam. The seat is in its highest position. I can still get full leg extension. My wife is 5'5". She fits great. The bike has a total payload capacity of 500 pounds, which is truly impressive. On the rear rack, 176 pounds. The bike weighs in at 77 pounds, though with all of these accessories, definitely more than that, including the hidden accessory in this bag, which we'll get to. Let's talk about the motor. 750 watt nominal, 1300 watt peak, 85 newton meters of torque. And yes, engaged with either the torque or the cadence sensor, which you can choose. I'll show you how to quick swap it. The derailleur is Shimano Altus, 8 speeds, 11 tooth 34 teeth in the rear, and a large 52 tooth narrow wide chainring up front. There's a chainstay protector, and that motor is paired with a battery that's located beneath the frame. Turn the keys to the right. The battery pops out slightly, and then there's a little tab to fully release. This is a 48 volt, 16.7 amp hour battery. The battery itself is certified to UL 2271. The entire bike's electronics are certified to UL 2849. Even more than that, the frame is IPX6 rated. The battery is IPX7 rated, so yes, you can pretty much dunk this in water, dry it off, and the bike will run just fine. I personally appreciate the grab handle on these batteries. The button here gives you an idea of the current capacity. And yes, of course, it fits in our battery bag, sold at shop.ebikeescape.com. Your purchase of any of our high-quality e-bike accessories also helps us out. You get a nice grab handle. It's waterproof and flame-resistant, great for on the go. Charger port here on the battery, or you can charge it when it's in the bike by lifting this spring-loaded cover. Included is a 3 amp charger, so between 5 and 6 hours to charge it up from empty. They even give you this nice mount in case you want to mount your charger. You also get tools, a manual, class stickers. To put the battery back in, terminals first, and simply snap into place. And you can remove the keys. And I almost forgot, surprise, there is storage for a secondary battery in this included frame bag. So whether you want some additional range or maybe just some storage, that's a cool included accessory. Note that the secondary battery is not wired into the controller, so it's more of a swap in and out situation. Let's dive into the rest of the components. The hydraulic disc brakes are from Tektro, a larger 203mm rotor in the front, and what we typically see, a 180 millimeter rotor in the rear. The tires are from Kenda, 20 by 4 inches wide, mixed terrain tread, nice brown sidewall. You have plastic fenders front and rear. The RST hydraulic suspension fork offers 100 millimeters of travel. This is what you can expect. Preload adjustment on the left, lockout on the right. The front wheel attaches with a through axle. The front rack is our first optional accessory, and it has something that pretty much no other brand is doing, and that is MIC compatibility. And so what does that mean? Well, it works with any MIC accessory. We sell a bunch at shop.ebikeescape.com. This happens to be a new one. This is our cooler. And so you take your MIC key, push it in, and push down, and your accessory is locked into place. And so this offers a ton of storage to bring some drinks on your ride. It also comes with a strap. But whether you buy from us or not, just know that the front rack is MIC compatible. The rear rack is MIC compatible as well, though we have the child seat on there, which I'll show you in a bit. With the front rack, you can extend the headlight to the front as well, 500 lumens, or you can mount it to the stem. And in the rear, you have a running light. They go brighter when you hit the brakes. And you also have turn signals. Moving on to the 7-button control pad and the display power button on top. So first you have your turn signals, left and right, indicators on the screen. You can turn your lights on by holding pedal assist up. You can engage walk mode by holding pedal assist down, and it will display walk mode on the screen. Battery capacity on the top left, time on the right, what class you're in, quick swap that by hitting the bottom button. Class 2 will be a top speed of 20 miles per hour whether you're pedaling or using the throttle. Class 3 will disable the throttle, but top speed will be 28 miles per hour while pedaling. And then Class 1 also disables the throttle. Top speed while pedaling is 20 miles per hour. We have speed front and center. On the right, your pedal assist level, off, eco, tour, trail, sport, and boost. Below that, whether you're using the cadence or the torque sensor. To quick swap between them, hold the M button right here while you're riding. Hitting the M button will also switch between different information at the bottom. Trip distance, trip time, estimated range, which does change depending on your pedal assist level, and average speed. Next, motor temp and controller temp, CO2 saved and max speed, odometer and total time, cadence and calories, a split between the rider and motor power, heart rate and average heart rate, and back to trip distance. To get into the advanced settings, hold the M button. First, you can change the speed limit in each of the 3 classes. You can turn it down if you want to. On the controls, this bottom button is going to be your back button. Next, we have cruise control. We'll turn that on so I can show it off in the first-person riding footage. Sensor swap. You can also change between the cadence and the torque sensor here. Next is experience. For riding, you can change between slow, smooth, and turbo. And throttle, you can change between slow, smooth, and turbo. This is a quick way to change the ride experience, though there is more customization that I'll talk about. You can clear your trip data, go into stealth mode. This disables the lights and turn signals and changes the speed limit, so it's quieter. This is a nod to the Nomad, which had this feature, their fat tire e-bike. Next, we have the NFC cards. Maybe you were wondering what these cards are. Well, they can unlock your bike. To do so, go in here, turn it on. I'm going to bind this card. Now when I turn the bike off and turn it back on, it's going to prompt for the card. There we go, bike is unlocked. Next we have Connect to App. We'll do that in just a second. There's Apple Find My, but not only that, this bike also has Android Find Hub for us Android users out there. Great way to keep tabs on your bike. There's Heart Rate Connect, rear light mode. You can change what the rear light does when you're riding and while you're pulling the brakes. Next, you can turn that turn signal click off. I'll do that. There's auto light, on or off. Screen brightness, can set to auto or just max it out all the time. Auto power off. Next is the sensor calibration. Ride tuning, though I will show you a better way to do this in the app. You can customize the max torque, assistance, and assisted start for every pedal assist level. Next is throttle sync. I'll talk about that in the first-person riding footage. There's time setting, and finally, version info. One of the cool things about Velotric e-bikes is their app connectivity. Let me show you how to do it. So I'm going to go in here and select Add New Bike. And in the menu here, I'm going to select Connect to App. Tap on the GoMad, scan the QR code, very seamless. We'll call it the Ebike Escape GoMad. I'm going to highlight a few things within the app. The first one is, of course, being able to track your ride. And then after you've tracked a few rides within your profile, you can see how many miles you have ridden over days, weeks, months, and years. Next, let's go into bike settings. You have a lot of the same functionality within the display, but I think the app is easier to customize to your liking. So first, we have custom mode. This allows you to take full control over your bike, kind of create a custom class, if you will, though be sure you're following all of your local laws and regulations. So within custom, maybe I want the throttle to stop at 20, kind of as a class 2 e-bike, but I still want to pedal up to 28. You can do that. Or for off-road use, you can crank the throttle up. You can adjust the experience easily between slow and turbo for riding and the throttle. Next, we have ride tuning. I love having full customization over all of your pedal assist levels. We're going to leave this as is, but I'm going to crank up boost so we can test out the full power of this bike. We'll leave assisted start though in the middle so it's a little bit more accessible. Apply to e-bike. And the last thing you'll want to check out is at the bottom, firmware update. If you don't want to do anything within the app, that's okay, but you do want to make sure your bike is up to date with the latest and greatest from Velotric. Looks like I have some updates to do, so we'll do that. So that is it for the Velotric controls, display, and their app. There's BMX-style handlebars, adjust them forward or back, depending on your preference. They have a slight swoop back to them as well, and here is a quill stem. So you can adjust the bolt here and either raise the handlebars like I have here or put them all the way down, maybe if you're a shorter rider. There's locking ergonomic rubber grips, matching Tektro hydraulic disc brake levers with motor cutoffs, a left-hand thumb throttle, plenty of space for mounting additional accessories, included bell, and Shimano's 8-speed trigger shifter. There's 2 sets of bottle cage mounts. Perhaps for the water bottle cage that we sell that's fully adjustable for large water bottles. Plastic pedals, this unique seat that feels pretty spongy, though we'll see. And why this shape? Well, you can slam the seat down and ride in what I like to call moped mode. So in the rear, there are a bunch of accessory options. This is the young passenger kit. I like it because it gives a grab handle for the kids. And even more than that, they have an inner bar so their hands don't get pinched in case you tip. Has a nice backrest. You get mesh wheel guards that Velcro to the frame. Pegs that fold up. And then yes, when you buy the young passenger kit, you get this dual-legged kickstand. And that's great because it's so much more sturdy than a regular kickstand. You can put your foot in front of it and just rock the bike forward. And to put the kickstand back up, just step on it and rock the bike back. Otherwise, the bike comes with a standard but still wide kickstand. Velotric also sells a passenger kit for older riders, though that doesn't come with the dual leg kickstand. And it's pretty slick because this rear pad is basically a mic pad that slides into place. Let's say you're not hauling kids, you can buy these pannier bars, which would mount right here. And then Velotric sells pannier bags to match. And when expanded, you get more storage. You could even overstuff this as well. Velcro closure. So it would look something like this. And of course you could double them up. With that, I love riding utility and cargo e-bikes. So let's go see how the GoMad performs. All right, any cargo or utility e-bike needs to be tested with some cargo, right? Yeah. All right, so we have some weight in the rear. I actually have the secondary battery in here as well. And so we will test this first out as a class 2 e-bike. I'll talk about all the settings and functionality, and then we'll do our hill climb test. And then I will go back to class 3 mode. I don't feel very comfortable going above 20 with my daughter in the back. But for those of you who are maybe putting other cargo back there, maybe you want to, so we'll test that out later. All right, here we go, throttle only, 3, 2, 1. See how long it takes us to get to 20. Decent amount of takeoff there, 15, 16, 17, and there's 20 miles an hour. Now, this bike has a setting called throttle sync. What does that mean? Well, basically it ties your throttle to your pedal assist levels, and you can change it on or off for cadence or the torque sensor. So for the cadence sensor, I have throttle sync turned on. So in Eco, just a little bit of throttle means just a little bit of power. There's 10 miles an hour. And of course, if I go into Tour, I'm only going to get more power. There's Trail. all the way up to boost, which will give you the full amount of power. Now I have throttle sync turned off for the torque sensor, which it's on now, and so I can still hit 20 miles per hour with the torque sensor. So that's a setting that you can play with if you want to. It's an accessibility thing. Some people don't want full motor power with the throttle. I really like that as having it as an option. This bike also has cruise control. How does it work? Well, you just have to be riding, hold the bottom button here, and then you will get a little cruise control icon on the top of your screen, and the bike will hold you at that. Looks like I set it around 11 miles an hour. Of course, I can still pedal, but the motor is not going to give me more power past that 11 mile per hour mark. And of course, you can turn it off by simply hitting the brakes. So that is cruise control. All right, let's go through the various pedal assist levels. With the Cadence sensor class 2 mode, Cadence sensor very responsive, maybe not even a half turn for the Cadence sensor to engage. Remember, a Cadence sensor is simply going to check whether I'm pedaling, and if I am, it is going to give me motor power. How much depends on the pedal assist level. So in Eco, just a little bit. Now remember, we have the stock settings for ride tune except for boost. I crank those up, but remember, you can turn this up or down depending on what you want. So in Eco, nice and easy, 10 miles an hour. I'm in 4th gear. Let's go into Tour. Just a little bit more power here, cruising at 12 miles an hour. All right, and up to Trail. Going to shift up here into 5th gear. Now getting closer to 15 miles an hour. And these are set to specific speeds, so I'm not really going to be able to go past 15 miles an hour in Trail. In fact, I can tell from the screen I'm not getting any more motor power. So they have these pretty evenly spaced. And then in Sport, shift up to 6th gear. Looks like 17 miles an hour. And then Boost will be 20 miles an hour. And there we go. Now, what is so cool, yes, I can switch between the classes, including custom, but what I like even more is the quick swap into the torque sensor. Let's do that now. I will hold the M button, and now on the screen it says torque, and we will go through all the pedal assist levels like this. Remember, a torque sensor is actually measuring how much power you're putting into the pedals. So a nice and easy cadence, you're not going to go as fast as if you're putting in more power. Of course, that also depends on the pedal assist level, so keep that in mind. Look, we got someone to help us cross the street. Thank you. You can say thanks, Lola. All right, so in Eco now, shift up to 3rd gear. So very easy to cruise at 7 or 8 miles an hour. Going down a little bit of a hill here, 10 miles an hour. Shift up to 4th gear. And a little bit more power from my legs. I can see the motor responding because the motor power bar is going up. There's 14 miles an hour. So that is the difference between the Cadence and the torque sensor. So in Eco, still pretty easy to hit around 13 or 14 miles an hour. Let's go into Tour. Cruising at 12 miles an hour, spinning the legs nice and easy, and a little bit more power from my legs. 14, 15 miles an hour down this slight hill. 16. Let's go into Trail. Now the cruising speed's around 15 miles an hour. Let's see if we can hit 20 with a little bit more power. There's 18, 19, and there's 20. All right, now in Sport, cruising at 15, 16 miles an hour. And I have no doubt I'll be able to hit 20 pretty easily. There's 19 and 20. All right, let's see what we can do in Boost, just spinning our legs nice and easy. 18 miles an hour. I am very curious what this will do in Class 3 mode. 18, and then ever slow, slightly more power from my legs. We can hit 20 miles per hour, and I feel the motor backing off.
Welcome to the hill climb test.
All right, let's do it. The hill on the GoPro looks so much smaller than it is. We'll get up to speed, and we will see what the minimum speed is. We'll put the specs of the hill on the screen. There's 15, 14, 13, 12. Still pretty impressive. 11, especially with all the weight in the rear. Let's talk briefly about comfort. I love these BMX style handlebars, love that they're adjustable. I could maybe raise them up slightly higher, but still a very comfortable riding position. There's 10. I want to talk about the seat. It's certainly cushioned. It's just an interesting shape. So comfort-wise, it might just depend on your shape, if you will. And we did it. Minimum speed was 10 miles an hour, which is very impressive. All right, now let's do the hill while pedaling. We are going to use the torque sensor until maybe we need the cadence sensor. We'll see. And we'll start off in eco, in first gear. We'll see how long this lasts. All right, I'm going to call it there. Let's go into tour. Not a lot of relief there. Trail. I can see I'm getting more motor power, but it doesn't feel like it. Let's go into sport. All right, not much more there. Boost. Okay, I could do this, but it would still be a lot. Now, of course, I could use the throttle and get some assistance, but let's switch over to the cadence sensor, and you're going to see the difference. There we go. All right, now in first gear, I'm not providing any power. Let's shift up so I can. Fourth gear, then boost with the cadence sensor. Not a problem. So hills with the torque sensor, as is common with torque sensors, it can be difficult to climb hills. But that's what's nice about quick swapping to the cadence sensor on Velotric's electric bikes. And we made it, no problem. All right, with that, let's switch the bike to class 3 mode. We'll get rid of our cargo and really test the motor out at higher speeds. We are in class 3 and in eco with the cadence sensor. I can already tell they have the speeds different for the cadence sensor because I'm already at 13 miles an hour in eco. Let's go to tour, up this slight hill, shift up, 6th gear, 16, 17. Let's go into trail. There's 20, shift up again. 21, very easy. And sport, feel another boost there. 23, 24, shift up into 8th gear, the highest gear. And let's go into boost. That's going to take us to 28. Got some wind, 27, and there's 28 miles an hour. Very easy with the cadence sensor. And not ghost pedaling at 28 miles per hour, still able to provide power myself, a faster cadence, which isn't unexpected though. Next up is the torque sensor. Let's see if we can still hit 28. All right, in eco, 6th gear, 14 miles an hour. Yeah, so able to get closer to 20 in eco with the torque sensor because it's in class 3 mode. Let's go into tour in 6th gear now. Pretty comfortable at 20 miles per hour, a little bit more leg power, and we will get into the 20s, no doubt. Shift up, 22. Let's go into trail, 24 miles an hour. Not working too hard, but more power from my legs. The motor does respond. There's 26. All right, now into sport. Easily cruising at 23, 24. A little bit more leg power, 25. All right, and now boost mode. Slight downhill and slight uphill, so we'll see. There's 24. I'm going to shift up into the highest gear. 26, 27. So yeah, even up a slight hill here, able to hit 28 miles per hour with the torque sensor. One thing I wanted to talk about, I had experience set to smooth for pedaling and the throttle. That's kind of your high level settings. And then if you really want to dial everything in, that's when you can go into ride tune. With that, let's get into some third-person riding footage. I will give you my concluding thoughts on the Velotric GoMad. Surprisingly, there are just not that many fully featured utility e-bikes out there, so the fact that the GoMad exists now is awesome. So where does this $2,000 utility e-bike shine, and what changes would I like to see? First off, a 500-pound total payload capacity is a statement, and the 176-pound rating on the rear rack is great too. Clearly, for utility, this bike meets and even exceeds those requirements. It's great for those who might otherwise be considering the Nomad to have a 20-inch variant with fat tires as an option. Even if you don't need all the utility features, maybe you're on the shorter end and the Nomad is just a beast of a bike for you. Sure, it might not be quite as off-road capable as 26-inch tires, but thanks to those 4-inch fat tires, you can still easily take this off the beaten path. The GoMad brings over a bunch of Velotric's top features that have made their bikes so popular. Ride tuning, Apple Find My, Google's Find Hub, an NFC card to unlock, customization over speed limits and throttles, and of course, sensor swap. It genuinely feels like a fully featured e-bike, and Velotric is really leading the way here. The whole riding feel across these new Velotric models is incredibly dialed in. The motor power felt like plenty for a bike that's meant to be loaded down, which makes sense when you have 1300 watts of peak power and 85 newton meters of torque. With the 16.7 amp hour battery, you're looking at a range easily into the 30s on the low end, using lots of throttle, higher pedal assist levels. Velotric's claimed 75-mile range is definitely possible if you stick to the lower levels of pedal assist. And of course, they have the UL certifications, plus Velotric offers class-leading IPX ratings, giving you great peace of mind if you get caught in the elements. The BMX-style handlebars offer a nice riding position, and being able to lift them up or down makes the bike highly customizable for taller riders. Note that at 6 feet tall, I'm probably at the top end of the height range if you're looking for full leg extension. Velotric has really thought about utility here. The front rack allows for a ton of versatility, and it's great to see a MIC compatible front rack, but you also get it in the rear. You also get 2 sets of bottle cage mounts, an included rack bag, integrated lights, and of course turn signals, and plenty of options for adding other accessories to suit your needs. One detail worth mentioning is that your cargo goes above that included bag in the rear. As someone who hauls kids all the time, I had absolutely no problem with this setup. It's just something to be aware of, that your cargo is slightly higher than it otherwise could be if they negated that rack bag. Component-wise, the Tektro hydraulic disc brakes provide confident stopping power, aided by the larger front rotor for increased stopping power, which is important when you're hauling. The drivetrain is what we see on most e-bikes these days and is perfect for recreational riding. I also really like the RST suspension forks Velotric has been using. They offer a bit more cushion than typical entry-level options. Now let's talk about some of the considerations. I really wish the dual leg kickstand was included out of the box. It's something that everyone will appreciate, even if you aren't hauling kids. Plus, it's just one more thing that you have to install if you buy the young passenger package. Speaking of accessories, they do add to the price, and with utility e-bikes more than other types of e-bikes, you're almost guaranteed to at least need some extras, which will certainly push you over the $2,000 price point. That said, I am happy to see at least the rear bag included. One quick note on the young passenger kit, only older kids will be able to reach the foot pegs. Our 4-year-old definitely couldn't reach them, while our 6-year-old could reach them, so that's definitely worth keeping in mind. It's pretty clear why Velotric decided to go with this custom seat. It lines up beautifully with the rear seat pad when installed. While it's comfortable, I know some riders might not prefer this shape. I'm also missing the suspension seat post that Velotric includes on the Nomad and Discover 3, so you may want to consider adding one if you're looking for additional comfort. If you're planning to purchase from Velotric, remember, use our discount code and link down in the description before you buy, or just scan the QR code on your screen now. Thank you so much for your support. I am so happy to see another choice for a quality utility e-bike. Sure, you're paying a bit of a premium for Velotric's dealer network and the tech features packed into their models, but these are things riders will genuinely appreciate. Let me know what you think of the GoMad in the comment section. Would you choose these utility features over the full-size tires of the Nomad? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.